largest, richest snowmobile event, the World's Championship Eagle River Derby, will be held this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in northern Wisconsin. And there's something new this year, the last of a series of Kawasaki Tournament of Champion races in the United States. They'll run on Friday and Saturday. Leading this series at this moment is Franz Rosenquist out of Atwater, Minnesota. Franz, the thing that excites me, and I think it's fascinating, the fact that the machines are equal. The Kawasaki machines you guys drive in the Tournament of Champions tournaments are equal, so it's the driver's skill, isn't it?
Pretty much so. It's the driver has, you know, depending upon the machine he draws, most of the time he can get a good machine, but once in a while, you know, you'll get a machine that maybe doesn't fit your style of driving just quite right, but they're all supposedly set up the same, and they're very close.
In other words, there's no difference in speed. When you guys are going around that oval track up there at Eagle River, you'll be pretty well nose to nose, won't you?
It'll be really close, you know. Occasionally you'll get one machine maybe that it's just like anything else, like you can't take two cars that would be exactly equal, you know. I mean, they'll be set up as close to equal as it's possible, but one might have just a little bit of an edge, but nobody knows who gets the best machines, you know, because they're all the same, you know.
North America's version of the Kawasaki Pro Snowmobile Racing Tour is over, with the 10 best drivers in the country dueling for the top 5 positions, and they will go to Finland this weekend to battle the European drivers. 3 of the top 5 are from Minnesota, including Darcy Ewing from Big Lake, and I asked him about racing conditions in Europe.
Well, I really don't know what to expect. I've heard different stories on what the track is. I do know we're going to be racing on an Olympic skating rink track, and that, of course, is going to be flat, which is very different from Eagle River. Most of the tracks we run on are banked, so it's going to be a different ride.
Well, that would change the whole aspect of the race, because you're used to the banking here in the United States.
Yeah, and also it's going to be quite a bit tighter and shorter. It's going to put a different twist to it. That may be one advantage for the drivers over there.
There isn't much snow for it, but like Midwest downhill skiers, snowmobile racers have learned to make their own competitive surfaces, if you will. So that big sawdust and ice snowcross meet at the Douglas County Fairgrounds and Alexandria has a full field this weekend. One driver in it is Kawasaki Tournament of Champions runner-up of last season, Darcy Ewing of Big Lake, who admits the field makes it a tough nut.
The drivers I'll be running against this weekend, they're all great competitors, and of course when it's out on the track, it's everybody for himself, but we all get along pretty well, I think.
It's another game of inches too, isn't it? There are very narrow margins of victory in the sport.
Yes, it is. A lot of races are won or lost just by a couple of inches. That's all it takes. If you want to ask me, I'll say that I'm going to win the race, but on Saturday, if you ask 9 other drivers, they'll all say the same thing too.
I know that I wouldn't want to be in Alexandria this weekend, having been out this evening.
No, it is very cold.
Snowmobilers have some of the same image problems as their counterparts on motorcycles. For instance, there will always be that jerk who will roar across your cow pasture at odd hours. But he's not to be confused with the more polite recreational rider or the serious professional, people like Bobby Donahue. Now, Bobby travels the pro circuit from Minneapolis to Portland, Maine, and he has to develop a mental conditioning just like a race car driver. Only he calls his vehicle a sled, and it's come a long way since the old days of the Iron Dogs.
Car racing, the only way to cut that expense is with sponsorship, which is only bring in big money but make Bobby the best, and that's all he's thinking about during the trial heats.
I would say the single biggest drive for everybody out there is to be the best. Nobody wants to finish second.
That's because in the Kawasaki Tournament of Champions, the winner takes all of the $5,000 purse. The drivers are the top 10, the sled's identical, and this race will determine their ability to handle a snowmobile and stress.
It used to really get me nervous when I'd go up to the starting line. You know, your adrenaline starts flowing, everything else in your body gets kind of weak, and you're saying to yourself, oh, I hope everything goes good. I hope I get a good start. I hope I make it through the first turn without getting hurt. I hope nobody crashes me. I hope the machine doesn't break down. And psych is the easiest way to beat a driver there is. Some drivers do it by giving you a dirty look. Some will do it by winking at you. Some will do it by waving to you. Some guys will be staring at the guy and they'll hit the throttle on his machine. Just like that, you know. That's to show that, you know, why you're here. You know I'm going to beat you. Sometimes the driver's right next to you, look at him, and he looks at you, and sometimes his guys get real big and yours get real big, and you don't know who's going to let out first going into the corner, okay? You want to win. It's that simple, I would say. I'm out there, like everybody else, to prove that I can beat whoever they're going to put against me. I would say it's probably very similar to maybe like boxers. Why do people box? Why do they beat themselves bloody, okay? Because they want to prove they're tougher than the other guy. And I think it's the same thing here. We want to prove we're smarter and we can make our snowmobile faster than theirs. You got to finish the finish line first. That's what it's all about.
Well, they call Bobby Donahue the Spider-Man because he taught everybody else to lean out over their sleds in those turns, and he must have leaned just a little bit more than everybody else today. He came up a winner.